Good morning, everyone. Grow your strength. This is week 4 of our program. Thank you so much for joining and building a stronger version of yourself with me. We're going to start with some breathing in either face up or face down position. I always like to emphasize how important it is to just down-regulate the nervous system a little bit before training for the movement improvement ahead. So I'm going to go with the face up position today. If your back can tolerate it, you can extend your legs out. A little easier is bent, and you could even try elevating your feet on a couch or a footstool if you would like. Micro adjust anything that doesn't feel quite right. The neck and shoulders down into the low back and hips. And then just take your time to focus on the depth and slowing the pace of your breath. Try to expand into your front, to your sides, to your back, into your hips. Here we go. Try breathing in and out through your nose if you can. And after your next breath cycle, we'll slowly take it into a half kneeling position. In the half kneeling position, take some time to level out the hips. So this is hip to armpit direction. And then this is bottom of the rib cage to top of the pelvis direction. And if you play with this, you should be able to find a spot that feels somewhat level. Okay. Once you're level, let's just take a few pulses forward, tracking the knee over the front foot. I'm just going to check that. I think I'm sure that you guys are on mute. Yeah, I'll put a couple of you on mute. Feel free to come off mute if I did it there, Heather. Thanks. If you have any questions or concerns, but just for the background noise. Okay, so a few pulses and then lining up the hips. I like to take the front foot a little wider because as I go into cross rotations, I want to make sure that I feel stable and that I can rotate from my hips up. So as I turn, I'm keeping a relative sort of belt buckle straight, and I'm going to go back to center and then rotate the opposite direction. Let's go about 3 times each way. So as you rotate from the hips up, you're getting into the mid to upper back and the neck. You can improve this rotation by looking at something behind you. Just taking your time to find your end range of that movement. Okay, let's switch sides today after that one, and we'll go through the leveling both ways, a few pulses straight forward. I have this kind of thought that sometimes I'm going to start a class and tape it, and as I do the breathing, I fall asleep, and it's just like, half an hour of breathing, and then she wakes up. But no, that doesn't happen. Okay, front foot out, crossover. Back to center, rotate, turn and look behind you. That looks great, everyone. After you finished your 3 each way on this side, we'll come down to hands and knees and just place the hands a little wider than shoulder width and the knees wider than hip width. Let's take a few cat-cow, so flexion and rotation with the hands and knees wider, rounding the back up, dropping the head down. You can push the floor away, and then slowly, maybe starting at your low back, just think about dropping the front side down through the chest, bringing the shoulder blades together and gently looking up. So the back has natural curves. When you're looking up and drop down, this is extension. And as you round through, rising your back up to the roof, this is flexion. It can get confusing though when we find neutral back, which I'll ask you to do next, because in neutral back, we have a little low back curve. We have a curve in the mid back and we have a curve at the back of our neck. So it's kind of a strange way to think of it when we say neutral, because it's not flat. As you start to, once you've found neutral, start to hinge your hips back to your heels. Just taking your time to find the end range that you can sit into without changing that neutral back. So that means I wouldn't round my back like this. I want to keep those neutral curves and sit the hips back to the heels. You can get a bit of an increased stretch by aiming your hips to the right foot and then coming back through and aiming over to the left foot. I feel a bigger stretch through my inner thighs with that. Just shifting the weight a few times side to side. And then coming back to shifting center, let's involve some more neck mobility by turning and looking over one shoulder, coming forward through the hands, and then rotate and look through the opposite shoulder. Try not to go too fast, and just a reminder of adding that visual to gently ease your neck into a bit more rotation. Oh, great. From here, we're going to go to the bridge position, taking a band or a dowel. And this morning, I'm going to use a dowel for my overhead shoulder range of motion. But I am going to have a band close by because we're going to do some ankle work next. But here is overhead shoulder range of motion with my knees bent. So I've got my back kind of teetered into a nice neutral position. There's not a big arch in my back, but I'm not trying to press it too flat either. I'm taking my hands wide enough that I can get the back of my hands and my arms on the floor without increasing the arch of my back or changing the position of my neck. Depending on your shoulder range of motion, you might have to go wider in order to be able to ease the arms overhead. You can play with a few passes and different widths. And on a few of these passes, leave your arms on the floor and just gently roll your head to the left and to the right. Weight of your head is supported on the floor. Nice opportunity to get some rotation in there, not having to control that weight. If you want to try extending your legs out, bringing your toes to the roof, see how that feels on your back. Where does your posture kind of land? Okay, with limited mobility in some of our joints, including the hips and low back, this might not be possible for you. But with some consistency in movement, practice, kind of motion is lotion. So getting the range a little bit better every time we practice this. Okay, moving on to the ankle mobility. I'm going to use a stretch strap and loop. This one has loops, so I'm just going to put my foot through that loop and again adjust my posture. The non-working leg can be bent or straight, and if you can tolerate it and adjust your back position so that it feels comfortable, then I suggest doing some of this work with your legs straight. Okay, about 5 of these knee bend, flexing the knee towards the shoulder and then extending up and finding a place where you can have the leg straight. So you might need to back your band off if you're tight through the back side of your leg. After 5, go into the sequence of ankle mobility, about 5 moves where you point your toes, start with flexion and extension, and pull the toes to the shin and then point them to the roof. Open up your foot by spreading your toes. After 5, relatively slow, pick up the move to a faster range of motion, trying to get that end range every time. Second move, toes are flexed to the shin, turn the sole of the foot in and out. Again, 5 slow, finding your end range, and 5 fast. And then try that same thing with your toes pointed to the roof. And then here we go with some circles to finish. Slow and fast. And then switch direction. Excellent job. Okay, let's switch sides. Knee bends to start after you've adjusted the posture. About 5 of these. Looks good. Holding the leg out, starting to focus on that flexion and extension again. Don't forget to spread the toes. Low and fast. Sole of the foot in and out. With the toes to the shin. And with the toes pointed. Finish with your circles. Slow and fast. Get those ankles used to working a little bit faster in case you do slip or trip. And you can get your foot out and save yourself quickly. Okay, so let's take the knees to the shoulders and just pull the knees in a little bit, stretching the low back and hips. And then you can release that tension. Just a few of these before we set ourselves up for some bridges. If you've been following along with the weekly program, I've been doing bridges, double and then single leg. And today I'm going to change the rep range. We're going to do 6 double bridges followed by 6 single leg bridges per side. So when you're ready, position your feet on the ground and find that connection through your posture. As you bridge your hips up, tighten up here, and then think about extending your hips by pushing your knees away from you in that direction towards your toes. Come back down, reset posture from the chin down if you need to. Squeeze. So 6 double bridges. Then taking one foot off the floor. Can you bridge up in this position? You can either float the leg or grab onto the back of the thigh and wrap your hand around your rib cage so that you come up. We call this a hard style bridge. So you're not rolling through your spine. You're extending your hip and using all the muscles through your butt to lift. There is a tendency to want to bring this foot closer to center. So be mindful of that double bridge position. You should be able to pick the foot up and work from there. It is quite hard though. So just be mindful of that you're not working too hard. If 6 is too many, decrease. Everybody looks good there to me. Okay, reverse tabletop crawling. Taking yourself into the reverse tabletop position. The knees float over the hips, fingers to the roof, and then anchor in your armpits and shoulder blades. From here, flex the hands and feet like you're crawling on the floor. Once you start the crawl, sort of think about whether you can integrate your head a little bit, letting your head roll gently to the sides if you were crawling and exploring. How far you let your leg drift away and how far your arm goes overhead makes this exercise easier or harder. So be mindful that you're not going so far that you're struggling to keep your back from popping off the floor or holding your breath. When you need a rest, just draw those knees back into your shoulders. Give yourself a little roll. And once you've had enough rest, just go back to that position and try to do it again, perhaps looking a little bit more at your hand that goes overhead, and perhaps trying to go wider. Just change the angle for your hips and shoulders to control. So this nice core box from your hips up through your neck, everything here is in control. You're breathing and you're allowing your arms and legs to move freely. That looks great. Third exercise in this series is our get up to the elbow and bridging from the elbow. I'm going to start today with my left arm up in the air, small fist, and anchoring the shoulder, left knee bent, right arm and leg out on an angle. I'm going to roll to my elbow and make sure the elbow feels well positioned underneath my shoulder so I'm not in a shrug, and then gently lift up. That's the bridge, low bridge from the elbow. Come back down and then pull yourself back down to the floor. We'll do 3 of these and switch sides. So before you start, you're lining up your posture. If there's a big arch in your back, you decrease that. Take a breath in and a nice easy roll to that elbow. Loading the shoulder as you lift. Very good for strength. Gently come down, pull yourself back down. Everybody's got it. Third one. Up, down, and roll away to the floor. Wonderful. Okay, switching sides. Got my right knee bent, my right arm up in the air with my shoulder connected, left arm and leg out on an angle. Nice easy roll. Bridge, down. Nice work, everyone. Looking good. And we'll go right through this set again, starting with 6 double bridges and right into 6 single leg bridges. The hip bridge is a extension exercise. So when I bring my hips up, I'm extending my hips, working these muscles. Bridging is sort of a nice exercise to think about strengthening the backside of our core. Lots of times we spend so much time walking and hiking or cycling, and everything forward in the quad and knee dominant kind of plane. So this is the posterior chain. Into your 6 singles. Okay, and then right into your reverse tabletop. I didn't do all my reps, so I could catch up with some of you. Oh, I did the wrong exercise. I did the baby get up. This is crawling, my bad. All right, so here we go. Reverse tabletop crawling, letting the head roll. Pulling the knees into the chest when you need a break. It's got to be one of the safest core exercises to do. It's not putting stress on your back. It's not flexing your back. if you find that you're clicking through the hip, see if you can decrease the range that you kick your foot out. Change something about it. So maybe try a little wider, go a smaller range. Certainly don't want to be doing any of these exercises through pain. But sometimes we have these little clicks and cracks and snaps and things, and we want to get stronger through this area. And I find that those sounds decrease as you get stronger. But that said, let's do our get-ups again. Just be mindful you're not constantly pushing something into a click. All right, here we go. So I'm rolling to the elbow, bridging up, really trying to connect with my foot. So as you do your next few, the bent knee foot, spread the toes and keep the foot connected to the floor. As you bridge up, tighten up your butt cheeks. Oh yeah, there we go. And after 3, I'm gonna switch sides. Nice work. Okay, hands and knees for setting up for a plank, hold, a lower, or a push-up. So these are progressions of the plank. Coming to hands and knees, spread your fingers and distribute the weight evenly between your hands, anchoring your shoulders. So there's no shrug and there's no sort of loose shoulders. Pull those armpits down towards your hips. Find your neutral back. So again, if that means you need to flex and extend through a little cat-cow to find your middle ground, then do that. When you're ready, you can step back and anchor your toes into the floor. This is your high arm plank position. Now, from here, holding for up to 3 breath cycles, you can just make it about the plank, rest and reset and shake out your wrists. I'll give you a couple more variations and then I'll watch. So just reset and do another one when you're ready. Here is a little mini push-up, or here is a controlled lower to the floor. And then I can bend my knees and come back up. When you start to lower and look at doing push-ups, hey, good on you, Heather. She brought it up to an elevated surface. That's a good idea. Less body weight against a wall or a piece of furniture. You can change the width, is what I was going to say, of your hands. You want it to feel natural, and you don't want your elbows to come right out to the sides. Think of your elbows coming back on a bit of an angle so that as you lower yourself, that's a nice ideal position for your elbows. Okay, out of that, we're coming up to standing today. Nice work, Shirley. I thought I would go over grooving the squat and press body weight first. So we'll find a squat width for the feet. You can lift your toes and kind of connect with the floor. And then we'll take the arms to the shoulders and we'll just come down and come up 5 times. And you can spread your fingers at the top, opening up your hands, pull yourself down into your squat, and then press overhead, stretch your fingers. Good. From here, we'll go into the hip hinge. Take your hands on your thighs, slowly sit your hips back to the wall behind you, and then come up to standing and rotate the palms open, feeling some connection through the shoulder blades. Inhaling as your hips go back helps to keep your back neutral. So as you go back, you don't want to round your back or overextend your back. It's that neutral curve that we worked on the floor. After 6 hip hinges, let's try to go into some single leg balance reaches. You can do it towards a piece of furniture, finding a good connection through your foot, taking a breath and reaching. Level shoulders, level hips, and coming back up. Switching sides every time for about 3 per side. Now, if you would prefer to do it in the air, that works too. Just think about keeping everything level as you reach. Hips are level to the floor, shoulders level to the floor, pushing the heel to the wall behind you is a good cue, so it gets some length. What about those fingertips? Can you reach, turn your palms towards each other and lift your thumbs up, getting a bit more out of your shoulders? After 3 per side, we're going to add some load to this. Squat and press 5 times per side. And so I'm taking a weight that I know I can comfortably press overhead, finding a squat position, coming down into a squat, and pressing all the way overhead, making it continuous is what I call long cycle. After the first few reps, as long as it feels good, try to get the 5 reps in. And if you want to increase the reps to 6 or 8, that's totally fine. Just listen to your body and do that. Match the reps on the other side. Positive shoulder feeling. Breathing in as you squat down. Exhale as you come up. Extend. That looks great. Let's go right back to the plank push-up set. And I'll demonstrate this one off an elevated surface. If you did the plank and push-ups from the floor, feel free to pop back down there. So I'm just anchoring my hands here on the edge of my fireplace and finding that good plank connection. Okay, no shrugging, a little activation of my hips. And when I'm ready, I'm gonna pull myself in, control, and push away. Trying to maintain that plank position. Nice, looks great. Right back to our squat and press. Taking a little water if you need it. We tend to have sort of a movement habit of always starting on one side. So I'm going to try and break my habit today and start on my left. And I think 5 reps was a little easy for me. So I'm going to go up to 6 now. Here we go. Squat and press. Excellent. Switching. Nice work. One more set of the plank or push-up, please. And then we'll move on to different strength exercise. So I'm going to do this set on the floor. Take some time to set up the hands and the shoulders. You could just hold the plank for breath cycles. If that's where you're at, that's good. Heather, that looks great. Donna and Shirley, everybody's working hard. Love it. Okay, so into our new set, bent over row with dumbbells. And we're going to hinge today and stand up. So here's the bent over row with dumbbells. Okay, I could just row, but when I add the hinge, I stand up every time. So I sit my hips back, row, come back up to standing. Nice neutral back as you sit your hips to the wall behind you. Nice even pull of the shoulder blades staying out of the neck. And let me have a look and see how you guys are doing. Row and hinge. Looks great. I would say up to 10 repetitions. This sort of idea of intuitive training, modifying the rep range and the weight based on how you're feeling. If you didn't sleep that well, there's some stress going on, if you're recovering from an illness. These are all things that you still want to move, you just don't want to push it with the loads. Next up, static lunge. Ooh, 6 of these. Okay, so here's a static lunge. I step back and get control of my footing. I'm going to lower the back knee a little or a lot and come back up. As I go up and down in this, the front knee can go forward and be loaded a little bit more, or I can stay more vertical, a little bit more knee friendly. Listen to your body and see which works for you. To about 6 of those. From this angle, what you're looking for is to be able to control the front knee over the midfoot, that you're not bringing the knee in or out, but most of us would have a tendency to go in. So see if you can control that, thinking about this knee, this front knee tracking right over the middle of your foot, and then coming back up to 6 per side. Excellent. Okay, and the last exercise in this set is our extension reaches with a calf raise. So let's split the stance. And today we'll add a 2 count hold at the top. So you come up onto your forefoot, lift the heels, 1 and 2, and then control it back down. Lift, 1 and 2. And we'll do 3 of these before we switch the front foot. Open those fingers, look up to the roof, and back down. Switching the front foot. Get those arms right back. Get some control through the arches of your feet, connecting with all of your toes as you lift your heels. As soon as I say that, I feel like that throws my balance off when I start thinking about my little toes. But that's good. That's a good challenge. That's exactly what we want, is play with some variables, some tasks of balance. All righty, we're here. Let's go back to our hinge and row. What weights did you do? Did you get up to 10? Okay, this takes focus. This is almost like I would call a double whammy for your posture. You row, then you stand up tall. Hinge back. Equal pull of those elbows to the side. Working all the postural muscles through the back side. I heard on a podcast this morning, Dr. Huberman podcast, I believe it was with Dr. Lane Norton. He talked about muscles being so good to work. They're like the kitchen sink for our body. They clean up everything. So the more we work our muscles, the better the whole body is functioning. So that's nice. So we're working our muscles. Okay, the lunges. Do you need to change the weights or perhaps put them down? Stepping back, get connected with those back toes. I'm keeping my back heel off the ground as I go through each lunge. I'm connecting, driving my knee right into the midline of my front foot. Breathe in as you come down. Exhale up, gently connect your toes. Make sure this front foot, though, isn't too scrunched, right? That's not what we want. We want long, straight, connected toes. Here we go. Form looks great. This time with our extension reaches, let's do them with the feet just wider than hip width, so not in a staggered position. A little wider is going to give you a better base of support. Lift up, reach for the roof, 1 and 2, and drop down just a little faster. See if you can reach, 1 and 2, and drop. Give me 3 of those, and we'll move on to our halo. So taking a weight that you can circle comfortably around your head, position your feet hip width apart, and take the weight to the side, back, other side, return to the front, connect the shoulders, change direction. Now what you want to be doing is controlling your posture. So as you move the weight, you don't want to arch back or lock out your knees. You want to float your posture. This is a core exercise in that you're not allowing yourself to switch, to move to the side as you go around. So as you get better at this weight, I'm thinking originally it might just be a shoulder mobility exercise, but if you go heavier with the weight, you can start to feel how much harder it is for your whole core. Okay, from here we go to bicep curls. So if you have some weights that you can curl from standing position, I have recently added to my repertoire of dumbbells, and really does give me some programming and variation on those days you're feeling not quite so strong, you don't have weights that work. I suggest that you invest. Just these dumbbells aren't very expensive, and it's nice to have variation. Here we go. So up to 10 of these. Thinking about your arms, squeeze, 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 and then release with control. Keeping the posture, looking straight ahead. You guys got this. Finishing off your rep ranges up to 10. I'm going to move into some drop squats and fast feet for 30 seconds. So here's drop squats. I just catch and come back up to standing. If this felt too difficult on your knees, you could make it easier by just doing some tiny little bounces. And if you want to make it more dynamic, you could even add a jump, a little light landing. Whatever you choose to do, you can mix it up, a little bit of everything. We'll go for another 15 seconds. So think of the elasticity in your knees, and it's like catch and bounce out of it. Catch and bounce out of it. Really healthy for the ligaments and tendons around our knees. Last 5 seconds. And today we'll take it into a march. So we'll start with a cross tap. Try to bring your knee right up in front of your hip. If you have this pattern, feel free to do a few with a quick close of your eyes, a blink, or try keeping them closed. That really slows me down. And then let's bring it into a little bit more dynamic now with either fast feet, nice light landing, or you can keep it to a march if this feels better. 20 seconds, here we go. So you can pick it up. Looking good. Nice work. Yeah, I like that, Shirley. A little spinorama. Spinorama the other way. Last 5 seconds, and you can slow it down. And then we're going to grab those weights that we did with the biceps and work the triceps. Okay, so up to 10. Finding your position and a slight hip hinge. Extend those elbows back. Pull forward. If you're feeling this in the back, you must stop, reset. Okay, it's a hinge. There's not a big curve in your back. Neutral back. Your neutral. Okay, let's go back through this. For the halo, I'm going to take the weight up by 5 pounds. So I'm going to take a 15-pound kettlebell instead of a 10-pound dumbbell. Get my posture set. Here we go. Try to slow this down so that you know you're working your core. Switch direction. Look straight ahead. Wonderful. 3 circles each way. Wonderful. And we'll go right into our bicep curls. Work the arms. A lot of the current research on like sort of a mind-muscle connection shows that if you think about the muscles you're working, you recruit more motor units in those muscles and you get better results. So when I'm doing an exercise like this and I sort of say, think about it, I'm actually trying to squeeze as I shorten the distance here and then lower with control. I'm going through that mental kind of piece. Yes, I want my arms to be stronger. Excellent. Okay, let's mix up our cardio and work on lateral step this time. So you're crossing over. You can tap your back foot down, or you can make it a balance and keep it in the air. Use your arms to counterlever yourself. If this feels easy, then you could try to almost have a little leap and then stick your balance. Excellent. You want to try and control this, right? So just take your time. Everyone's not perfect. We've got 15 seconds every step. It's a little different. Arms can challenge you by bringing your arms out or up or down and back. Nice. Well done. Tricep extensions. There we go. Sit back. Up to 10. Same deal. Mind muscle. Fully extending those elbows back. Feeling both sides equally. Oh, that looks great. Up to 10. And then we'll put the weights down. This time we'll add something to our drop squat. So I'm gonna step left, right, and drop. And then right, left, and drop. And switch. Right, drop. Right, left, drop. Right, you guys got it, you're good. Little brain gym. Stick with it. Got 10 more seconds. Last 5. Excellent. Okay, from here, let's take our feet hip width apart. We'll go into some shoulder mobility to finish. So I'm spreading my fingers, taking both arms forward, slowly trying to get to the edge of my ability with my palms facing each other. Then I reach a sticking point. I have to turn my palms backwards and I'm pushing my hands, palms backward as far as I can. And then taking the hands up the small of the back, giving the elbows a wiggle. Perhaps turn the head to the left and to the right, freeing up the neck. Switch your top hand in the back. Do the same thing, elbows and neck mobility. Then when you're ready, center yourself, get tall again, and spread those fingers and start to go and retrace the steps as you bring your arms all the way back as far as you can. Get to the point up here where you turn your palms to face each other, and then slowly bring your hands down to the sides. Let's do a little side bend where you're just letting your ear fall to your shoulder and shortening the side waist, and then coming over to the other side. We'll do that a few times side to side before we say goodbye. It always feels so nice on the neck, letting the ear follow. Because the spine is supposed to be able to laterally flex when we get stiff and tight. That's what we're working on. The anti-stiff and tight class. You guys, thanks for building a stronger version of yourself with me today. Have a wonderful day. I'll send you this tape. Let me know by reaching out by email if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.